Well, guys, we're joined by Joe Sayler, Gary, questions from the media.
Yeah, I mean, some tough opponents in this non-conference play. Is that actually, a benefit? 2 games away from conference play and getting to see these tough opponents?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every year, Jackrabbit basketball is a tough doing. Tonight, we did play our best, obviously. They're very well coached. There was a more connected group tonight, and we didn't have our stuff.
Joe, what'd you think? How much of it was you guys not being on your game? How much of it was them being pretty good?
I think we got off to a slow start. And then they were getting into the paint too much right away. And then they made the shots around the rim. And then they started hitting threes. So kind of them, they played good both ways. And we just need to come out with a better start and then just play better down the stretch.
You got within, I think, 12 in the second half. Felt like you had a little bit of momentum going. Was it just not being able to get the stops to keep that momentum going on your side?
Yeah, I think the next 2 possessions we had 2 turnovers, which you can't do that when you're giving all that energy on that run. And then just to throw the ball away and then come back and they score, that just makes it really hard to keep fighting. But at the end of the day, it's a long season. We're gonna make mistakes early. It's better now than in March. So we're just gonna keep getting better every single day.
Kalen, it's kind of been up and down offensively so far this year. Why do you think you guys haven't really maybe found some consistency on that end?
I mean, we all believe in each other. We're going against a set defense too much. It's not that our offense is not consistent. We just need to get more stops. Tonight, we're off to a slow start. We're going against a set defense every time. Harder to get that momentum rolling a little bit, and we didn't necessarily shoot it well coming out the gates. We couldn't get nothing down. We just went against set defense really hard.
Joe, is it kind of tough when you play a team like Dakota Wesleyan on Friday and then you turn around and play a team like Wyoming, a few days later?
No, I don't think so. At the end of the day, it's on our circle. We have to come every day consistently and work every day. No matter who the opponent is, we got to prep the same way. Whether we're playing Dakota Wesleyan or we're playing Wyoming, we got to have the same mindset, same consistency, and just be ready to get better every single day.
You already mentioned getting better at like those quicker starts and stuff like that. Is there anything else from this game that popped out to you guys like, whoa, I can get better at this, or we can get better at this?
Yeah, I know many things didn't go our way tonight. Credit them, they played good, like I said a lot already. But when things aren't going away, just not shying away from the moment. I think we need to do a better job of just coming together in those moments, being more together, and then fighting together. And then I think we'll like the outcome more than we will.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
We're joined by South Dakota State coach. Coach, you want to start with the opening statement, then we'll talk for questions.
Yeah. Well, first off, give Wyoming a lot of credit. They're having a great season so far, and obviously they kept it rolling tonight. Played very well. Obviously disappointed with our defensive effort and ability to just get consecutive stops, but they deserve credit. Their pieces fit really well together. They got a great point guard, and they all played us tonight.
Thank you. Well enough for the media.
You guys have had some tough non-conference opponents, especially tonight. How much does that help the team, as we're just 2 games away from Summit League play?
Well, I mean, it exposes like some of the weaknesses you got to get better at. If you play some teams that you're better than every single game, like maybe you don't learn as much about your group. And so I think, the schedule we put together, we know we're going to hopefully find out some things that we do really well, and then also some things that we need to improve on before we get into conference season. But and then obviously it's fun to compete. You want to play against the best and play against really good teams and good environments because that's part of the experience as well too.
What do you think they did specifically to make it so hard on your defense tonight?
Well, they share the basketball very well. They set a lot of ball screens, and the point guard is very good at using them. I need to do a better job of putting our guys in places to be some more successful for more consistency without ball screen coverages. I thought they kind of got us spinning around a little bit, and then I think what happened was, maybe we were taking some things away. They were exploiting some, but then we started giving up everything. So free throws, threes, some paint touches. I mean, we track breaking the shell of our defense. That's kind of a big thing for our defense. And they broke our shell 28 times. Out of 28 times they did that, they scored on 24 of them. those possessions. That's way too many, and obviously that's way too much efficiency. So we got to do a better job protecting that thing.
How good do you feel about just where you're at 13 games in?
I mean, obviously as a competitor, like I'm pretty frustrated after tonight's loss, but with our schedule and the growth that we have shown since the fall, honestly, with this group, and we do have a lot of returners, but they're going into some new roles, and obviously we're learning a lot about our group. So there are definitely some positives with our first month and a half of the season, but there's also some things that we got to get figured out a little bit more consistently if we want to be the best team we can possibly be late in the year.
I know you said before the season there was a good chance that you'd have 3 or 4 guys scoring 12 points a game rather than one guy scoring 20. And that's literally exactly how your stats have played out. So is that kind of what you wanted, or are you sort of maybe looking for a guy or two to emerge as sort of a go-to guy?
I think it's what's ever best for this team. And I think we're still trying to figure that out. Obviously, I always like that balance. Like, I think that's a very fun style of play. I think that's hard to prepare for. I think late in the year, that really helps your team's success, in the tournament. But, it would be nice to kind of have more consistency from a couple guys that we know it's not going to be 20 every night, but, if we can get, we just kind of know, hey, 12 to 15, on a nightly basis would be nice from a couple guys. But I definitely like the balance that we're playing with. I just like a little bit more consistency with it.
Going off that, are you still maybe figuring out rotation-wise what you want to do?
I mean, we're getting closer to it. I mean, as you guys saw, Trey Buchanan's out for the rest of the year, so he was a rotational player that's out, and obviously that's allowed an opportunity for Bubs Alvarez to get on the floor. So, and he's taking it and run with it. He's giving us some good things off the bench. We're playing 9 guys right now pretty consistently. Do we maybe make a few more changes? Maybe, I don't know. Obviously, we got to continue to look at the film and kind of assess it after each game. But I don't think there's a whole lot of other things that we can really look at right now from a rotation standpoint with the guys that are redshirt, and obviously with Trey being out now.
Mentioned the schedule, second game here. You only played 2 Division I teams up in Brookings. Just how difficult is it to get teams to play in Brookings, and kind of how difficult has that been for your guys?
It's always been a difficult thing. I think probably going back to Coach Nagy days, when he obviously built this thing into being a really good program, it's definitely a place that's hard to get teams to come play us up there in Brookings. And then this year it was just kind of a little bit of, I get the job, and not a lot of games were scheduled. So we're, had a lot going on. So we worked like crazy to try to get more home games. It just didn't work out that way. We made a few decisions with our non-conference schedule this year that will allow more home games already built in for next year. But it is a great opportunity for us to come down here. We're very lucky to have the Pentagon here in Sioux Falls as an option to, if we can't get a lot of home games at Brookings, well, hopefully we get at least 1, if not 2 games down here every year.
Joe talked about how he understands that this is the team's going through a process and that you're building towards the end of the year. Is that coming from you? Are you sending that message to the players? Are the players delivering that message to each other on their own? And he's right. Obviously you're building towards March. How do you sort of balance what's happening now with where you ultimately want to go?
Yeah, no, that's really important. And I hope it's both, to answer your question. I hope it's a message that our staff is presenting with our body language and what we're saying every day to these guys, but then hopefully they're saying it amongst themselves too. Because we talk about connected communication all the time with our players. Like, hopefully those are the things that they're saying amongst each other too. Like, this is a process. We need to learn from our mistakes and grow, and then also learn from the things that we're doing well too. But it is a long season, obviously. So we're not quite halfway through it, and it is a process. We got a lot of things ahead of us. So we got to, even though tonight was disappointing, we're still doing some good things. We just got to keep building on those good things and then eliminate some of the things that are making us lose some of these games.
As the leader of this team, frustrating loss, I'm interested as a coach, how do you ground yourself, kind of regroup and prepare to present your team going into the future?
Yeah, no, it's something I'm kind of learning, as this year's gone on a little bit. I was a head coach before, but obviously I hadn't been for the last 6 years. So I've had to grow myself and kind of look and reflect on, the things that we've done well and then maybe some of these losses we've had. How do I react to them? How do I get ready for the next day? It's not easy, but obviously it's part of my job. It's like you said, as the leader of the group and as our staff, we need to continue to find ways to, still see some positives that we're doing, but then also identify the things that we got to get better at doing.
For this game, what were some positive things?
We didn't turn it over. We only had 7 turnovers, at the start of the year. I'd say in November, we kind of had some turnover problems. And so I think that's like our 3rd game in a row against Division I opponents where I think we had, right around where we want. 7's a great number. The other positive, I know we got to the free throw line 24 times. I know some of that is kind of their defense, but that's something that we struggle with consistently is getting to the foul line from an offensive standpoint. So that was positive. And then we did see the ball go in. I know a couple of them were kind of those late prayers or whatever, but making 10 threes as a team, I know can make shots. We haven't consistent, man. So it was nice to see the ball go in, for us at least a few times, 10 times. So not a ton of positives, but there were a few. And I'd say the number one thing was probably, actually, I'll say two things. The the turnovers only at 7, and then Bumps Alvarez giving us a pretty good scoring off the bench.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, guys. The opening statement, and then we will open up for questions from the room.
Yeah, it wasn't super hard for us to get up for this game. We had a mission doing a non-conference. We had to go from boys to men. We had to win it on the road. And even though it says neutral or semi away, it's a road game. I mean, it was packed with it was Frost South tonight. It was great to see the fans show up for this game. It means a lot to have an environment. It's fun to play in, and that's why the Pentagon's great because it provides an intimate atmosphere. Great memories from 2017-18 here in the national championship run with Northern State. But I lost a lot of sleep watching a lot of South Dakota State film because their guards are good, make shots, and they have huge bigs, and that's usually a recipe for winning. So for us, we told our guys, job's not done. We got to finish the non-conference. This was going to be a test for us to be able to go into league play on the 20th versus Grand Canyon. We had to prove that we could go on the road and win, and the guys did it. And so in the locker room, we kind of celebrated a little bit, but then we're right back to business. We got a Mountain West coming up on the 20th, which is a nasty league, as you well know. But this was a great precursor for that, and I'm glad we played this game because we needed to feel that physicality and kind of that grinded out Novocaine pace South Dakota State plays with. Scored 87 points, and I felt like the game was 50-50. That's just what it feels like. And they have an identity, and they're going to double down on that, and they're going to be good in the Summit League like they are every year.
Thanks, Coach. Welcome up to the room.
At the end of the game, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I overheard you say your dad was in the crowd, and pregame I saw you were, talking to a bunch of people. What was it like being back here?
I got Wickses in every corner of the state, all right? My dad was born in Watertown, South Dakota. My mom was born in Rapid City. I was born in Rapid City. I'll claim West River. My dad claims East River, right? And I know there's a lot of tension out there. You want to be a West River guy, a little tougher out there. But I got family in Carpenter, man. We have the annual Wicks Angus Bull Sale every year. We got family in Carpenter, Harriet, Mound City. I mean, they're all over the place. There's Wickses everywhere. There's Settlers and Wickses, and this is always fun to come back to South Dakota because I spent a lot of time here, right? Northern State was a home for me. I mean, I played there for 4 years. I was a GA for 2, and I came back and was assistant for 2. So I've been there 8 years in South Dakota. Not to mention this all the times we drove to Rapid City for Christmas, Thanksgiving, all the holidays, see my grandma and grandpa and everybody in Rapid. This is family for me out here. So there's a ton of people down there. I'm going to make them wait a little bit longer. It's fun for me. This is the only time I get to rib my family is make their asses wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I mean, going from Northern State where you had a great run there, and now it's looking like a great run here at Wyoming. What does it mean to you to just be climbing that ladder and now at Wyoming?
You're grateful for the journey. Special players make special coaches. Right? I'm no good without any good players. And so last year we won 12 games. Nobody was talking about how great of a run it was. Now we're 9-2, and winning is fragile. So winning and losing are both imposters. You can't get too high, you can't get too low. You're only as good as your last game, right? And for me, I'm just going to continue to enjoy the ride with these guys. They got a locker room full of guys who care about each other. They're competitive. They're connected. They don't care who scores. They only care about the winning. It's really rare nowadays to see guys who only care about winning. Yeah, every game I could look at a box score and be vastly different from who led us in scoring, right? And then who played impactful minutes. Maybe it was Caden Bennett tonight who only scored 6 points, but he had 9 rebounds, right? And he goes in there 6'4" and gets 4 offensive rebounds. We're struggling to get a winning play. And we gave him the big buffalo tonight. He ran into that storm in the second half when I called his ass out. He stepped up to the challenge. And that for me is all you want as a coach is to see players respond. And guys like Naz, man, he's been responding. He's a little fresh fish over here, but he's been responding at a high level. And then I got a locker room full of dudes who only care about winning. And that's a big deal as a coach.
And I know you have a lot of family in this state, but your birthplace, yeah. Wyoming. What does it mean to you and your family to be back in your home state?
I'll always be honored to be the coach of Wyoming. And I may be the only guy in the history of the United States of America that wants to stay in Wyoming forever, right? Everybody's trying to get on to the next thing, but damn it, I love that place. There ain't nobody there to bother me, right? It's the least populated state in the union, right? So I get free air and free mountains anytime I want to, and I don't have to deal with traffic. I can get 5 minutes from my house to the gym. Who's got it better than me, right? Everybody else wants to go on bright lights in big cities. My ass is sit there in the countryside. And I'll be happy as a clam.
Why were you able to take STSU out of their game so early in the game tonight?
You know, I joked on the radio. I said I'm just getting tired of teams going to zone because they don't want to guard our man stuff. But we're really disciplined and we're really unselfish and so we're really hard to guard. And when we run our man stuff, we usually have 16, 17, 18 assists. So I thought early on we just kind of sent a message that we were going to go at them in their ball screen coverage and try to go into the paint and just try to make plays with our guards and really put a lot of pressure on them. And then they went to the zone. And I was like, well, this is going to be one of those games again where we're going to have to kind of play chess, not checkers. But I thought we just started well. And I think the way they play, I mean, if you look at some of their scores, you've seen it, like there's 50s and 60s, and they want it to be a really close pressure possession game at the end of the clock. You know, when you're talking about when they're wins, their lower Iowa games, those losses, they're all 68, 64 right there, and they want to just slow you down, pound it inside, and then their guards close. We knew we had to stretch to put the game pressure on them. And so we talked about the start being important coming out, and I think that was the big key. And I also don't think coaches want to play zone the entire game, unless you're Syracuse, right, or Bayheimers. But I think when you go zone, you're kind of like, man, we're not having success guarding their man stuff, so let's see if we can stymie them. And they did it for a little bit, so we had to catch that rhythm. I would just think they were uncharacteristically went to a zone defense versus their man. They usually just go to the zone with about a minute and 10 seconds to go in the first half and try to steal a couple possessions at the end of the clock. That's usually what they do. And they went to it for the entire half this time.
Coach, you've had a long journey. You mentioned the journey. Since the beginning of your coaching career to now, what's stayed the same for you?
Competitive resilience. So I've been fired, been hired, right? Like, and I go college coach, God rest his soul, Coach Meyer used to say, there's two types of coaches in this world. Bum Phillips used to say this. Them that's been fired, them that's going to get fired. Okay? And you coach long enough, it's like the old Batman thing, like you either die a hero or live long enough to be the villain. Most of us don't get to stay on the sideline long enough to be a hero, right? We die a villain on the sideline and somebody else gets to come in and be the new hero. And I've been on sidelines where we didn't win enough at Northern Illinois, we got fired. And I think part of this journey is a war of attrition. You have the competitive resilience to believe in yourself and get back up, even when it hasn't gone right. And we got let go at Northern Illinois, and I was working for Rex Walter at San Francisco, and we got let go with 2 years left on this contract. I didn't see that coming. And that's when I was blessed to go back to Northern State. And kind of, you don't know where this journey takes you, man. I was really down for a while, thinking like, man, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe you don't, you kind of get that imposter syndrome a little bit. Like I can't get right. And we go to Northern, and that love for the game that Sather brought back into me, and playing with coaching guys like Carter Evans, Logan Doyle, Darren Paterka, Ian Smith, Gabe King, Bo Freeze, on that team, just a hard rocking dudes, man, who love to hoop and were great teammates. We go to a natty, and I get my first head coaching job, Mo West Bless, down in old St. Joseph, Missouri, right? And that's where it just snowballs. And you just got to stay in it long enough. You got to I tell our guys, stay in the fight, man. Stay in the fight. Have some competitive resilience. Go a long way in this life. You're going to win. You're going to lose. But stay in the freaking fight as long as you can. And that's my journey. If there's anything you write about it, you just write about the competitive resilience, to be able to stay in the fight when you've been knocked down and it hasn't been easy. And crap, you know it. Coach long enough, you're going to have winning seasons, you're going to have losing seasons. At the end of the day, they don't put that crap on your headstone. Right? When they go on the gravestone, they're going to figure out whether or not you're a good dad or you're a good man, you treated people the right way.
Naz, for you, getting to watch you play in person, thank you.
Appreciate
But
it.
as a freshman, what about your journey leading up to this point has made you comfortable with being that guy on the court who's going to take those last second shots and wow the crowd?
I mean, I would say these are like moments like I've dreamed for and wanted my whole life. So like this just comes from the work every day I try to put in the gym in order to be in this position to take shots at the end of the shot clock. You know what I mean? And coach always refers to me as like a fix it dude. Like, what is that? Wait, actually, tell me what that means, dude.
What it means? Like, fix it, Felix, bro. Like you're gonna fix it, guy, man. Like he's gonna solve problems all the time. He's a problem solver, man. He doesn't bring problems to the table. He fixes it. And there's certain players that are special. Like you saw how many bad possessions we had on offense, and it looked good because he fixed it. Right? And so when you got to fix Felix on your team, you're pretty lucky as a coach.
and I know you're only a freshman, only been around coach for a few months, but how has he mentored you in the early stages of your college career?
I feel like the biggest thing is like he stays on me. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't take it easy. I'll have a good game, but we'll still watch the possessions like I didn't take advantage of. And I feel like having a coach that really just wants success for you, because a lot of people don't want their coach to be on them. They want it to be laid back and stuff like that. I feel like you gotta, like you said about the Buffalo, like go through the storm in order to get the things you want. So him staying on me and helping me, make better reads and make better plays is just all I've been glad to have so far.
And I mean, just from his answer before, loves being out there in Wyoming, doesn't want to be out in New York City. Just kind of a down to earth guy. How is it to have a coach like that who's, just kind of a relatable person?
It's dope because then you can have a real personal conversation with him. You know what I mean? You can laugh, you can joke. I mean, out there on the court, I know he looks mean to you guys, but he really isn't that type of guy. I promise.
I like looking at me. It's kind of fun. Anything that looks mean to me. I can't yell at my kids. My kids don't take me serious. Like, I yell at my kids, they'll start laughing at me. That's how much mean I have in me. It's scary. I want to say this about Naz. Is, I think there's a lot of people that write stories about freshmen in the United States of America and all this stuff like that. But Naz came in after he got his first Freshman of the Week award, and he had the curse. He went over. Right? He went over the next game. He came in, the maturity of the young man to come in and say, I asked him, well, how are you feeling? What is this? What are you thinking about? He goes, Coach, I'm just I got too caught up in like winning like a award. It was meaningless. And I started thinking I had to play a certain way or do certain things to continue to back that up. And I'm like, you just got to let it go. If you start comparing your journeys, you're thinking you got to be something that you're not. Like, that's when it all just falls apart. And we were able to have a real man-to-man, like mature conversation about kind of that depth that nobody wants to get to, that he allows you to go to. And I didn't know he had a game that he had today. And I'm still on his ass out there. I had no idea, but I'm worried about the one-hand pass he threw to Booth that turned out to be a turnover. I'm worried about the stick hand he didn't get up when the guy blasted one in his face. And I don't dwell on whether or not he's playing really good. I just want him to win the next possession, to move on to the next play and be better in that next possession. He watches more film than any, him and Gavin Gores watch more film than any freshman I've ever had in my program. And that's because they want to be great. And so part of that is just his dedication to this craft is masterful. And success happens because you have a different mindset than the average person. He's a special kid, man.
Excellent. Hey, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.